Hello and welcome to this video series on the Gimp 2.4. Now in this video we're going to go over how to create some nice Web 2.0 graphics similar to the one you're seeing right here. Those that have like a mirror image, for example, have a drop shadow or an outline or border around the text and a nice little gradient of sorts on the background. So let's go ahead and jump right into this on how to create a nice Web 2.0 graphic. And of course, as far as the usage, I mean, you can put these on your headers, obviously, ebook covers, use them to enhance your web page graphics, and well, your imagination is your own limitation. Go ahead and minimize this, get that out of the way, go to File, New. And we use the same size as the previous image you just saw, 750 pixels wide, 150 pixels in height. And one thing to keep in mind when choosing your font style is you want to make sure that the text is, number one, good and thick, similar to that of, well, like the one I've chosen, Arial Black, Cooper Black's a good one, Impact is a good one. But you want to make sure that not only the font or the text style is thick, but you also want to make sure that the base of your text is even, that you do not have anything kind of dangling down there like a little P or a little Q. Well, for example, let me show you what I'm talking about. Those are all even at the bottom. Now that one drops down. That one drops down. So you don't want anything like this. It's going to really mess up your image of the mirror that you're going to be creating here using this text style. So we don't want to do that. We want to, if we're going to have something like this, then we want to capitalize the P's and the Q's, for example. And remember, some font styles will drop the numbers down below the rest of these text or letters. So keep that in mind as well when choosing your font style. So that being said, let's close this out. Actually, Control Z. And get rid of all those. Now then, got our font style, size is 60 pixels. That's pretty good for now. And as far as the color, it doesn't really matter at this stage because we're going to change that here in just a second anyway. So let's go ahead and type out what we want on our image. Click on our Move tool to get this up here. Move this over. We want to put this up fairly close to the top because we're going to need some of this space down here to work with that image or with the mirror imaging here in just a second. So now let's go ahead and get into the blending or the gradient, and for that we want to make sure we have the proper gradient. And again, play around with this as much as you want. It's your image, do with it as you see fit. But for me, I'm going to go with foreground color to background color. That's FG to BG. And you've got a bunch of them in here. There's a bunch on the web you can find for free to install. And it's not too difficult to install them, but I'm going to go into that on a different video for you. But we're going with this one, the FG to BG. And as far as the foreground color, let's go with, let's say something dark. Darker. Sounds cool. I haven't tried this one before. This could be interesting. And this one, let's go with something a little bit lighter, shall we? Yeah, let's see how that goes. And I'm treading into new territory here. Now, just to explain this, if you're fairly new to the GIMP or Photoshop, how I do this is I hold my left mouse button down and I just pull down, and where I start is going to be the dark side or this side, and where I let off of my mouse button is going to be the light side. And now you can reverse this by clicking on this, and it just simply reverses that. Now you can achieve the same effect by just going from the bottom and pulling up, however you want to do it. And you get a different effect if you go to the sides versus going straight down. I want to go straight down. Now, one thing too, I'm going to show you this as an example, but this is not the way you do it. If you do this now, this is your end result. That's not what we want. Nice colors, by the way. Now I'm going to hit my Control key and the letter Z to undo what I just did, because what I want to do is I want to apply that gradient color to just the text, not the actual image, because you can see what is selected right now is all of this, the little standing ants. We want them puppies to be marching around these text right here. So how we do that, we go up here and we right click on the layer, come on down here and left click on alpha to selection, and there's the marching ants. Now then, our text is selected, and let's do the same thing. Start down, pull down, and try to get it as straight as you can, and then let go. Boom. Fantastic. Now, and with the marching ants still going to town here, we want to add a little depth to this, put a border around it. So now then, what we want to do is go over here to, oh no, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. We want to add a new layer. We do that by clicking on this guy right here. Then this comes up, and I'm going to go ahead and label this as border, because that's typically what it's going to be used for, is border. You can name it whatever you want to. Click OK. So now we have the border, and the border is what's highlighted right now, which is what we want. And the ants are still marching. Go up here to select. Come on down here to grow, and we want somewhere in here, we want the selection to grow by 3, 4, 5 pixels. You know, play around with it again. Nothing's set in stone here. We're going with 4 on my video. So now then, what we want to do is let's go with the paint bucket. Now, just to add a little more pizzazz to this, I'm going to go a little bit darker than the foreground here. Just a bit darker. That should work for me. And then we're going to, anywhere in any of these texts in here, now we've got the paint bucket or the bucket fill tool selected, and that's going to fill with the foreground color here. That's this one right here. And any one of these texts in here, just click on that, and boom, there we go. Now, and that's obviously not what we want, but what we want to do to cure that is we want to move this, the selection we just made here, we want to move this down behind or below the other text. So you just do that by clicking on that or highlighting that and hitting this down arrow. And there we have it. Now, I'm not too thrilled with that, but we're going to go with that for the sake of the video. Now what we can do is go over here to select, because we're done with the marching ants. We can send them packing and deselect everything. And, I mean, that's not too terribly bad. I mean, if you got a nice background to it, but let's get on with the video. Now what we want to do is we want to create a duplicate layer here, so this is doubled, and that way we can create that mirror. So how we can do that is click on this, right click, merge down. Now then, if you want to, you can change this in case you're keeping tabs on all your layers here. Right click, edit layer attributes, and then name it something like text with border, or whatever floats your boat. Then we need to right click and duplicate layer. You can tell though that because we've got the word copy out here to the side. So now then, let's get up here and click on our move tool. Make sure that this one here is ticked, move the active layer, and then we want to move the copy down like so. And you're going to see here in a second why it's important that the base here be even, because we want this to match with this without anything kind of dangling down to mess up our, well, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now then, what we want to do is we want to flip this puppy on over. And we do that by a couple of ways. Right click and go to layer this way and transform, or you can go up here and right click, transform, flip vertically. Now then, you see what I was talking about as far as the dangling down? We want it to kind of match up fairly close. And if you want to, you can use your arrow keys on your keyboard to make minor adjustments. That looks pretty cool right there. Now then, what we want to do while this is still selected, after we've got it flipped vertically, we want to right click, come on down here and add layer mask. And this pops up. Now then, the choice we want is, well, the one that's selected here, it's black. We want full transparency. Now prepare yourself, because this is going to go bye-bye here in a second. Click on add, and now it's disappeared. Now what we want to do is we want to go back to our blending tool. We want to go back to the black and white. on the foreground and background color. And here, no matter what you chose earlier to get your gradient on your text, you definitely this time around want the FG to BG RGB. And with that, we are ready to go. We want to, somewhere in here, click and draw upward. And again, be as straight as possible. You can see it starting to appear. So basically where I started is where this is going to start. For example, let me get rid of that. If I start down here and pull upwards, you'll see more of it. And that's not going to be that good. So again, you kind of figure this stuff out after you play around with it. And remember, the Control Z on your keyboard will eliminate whatever you just did. So you've always got the reverse mode there. And that looks pretty cool. So we're going to stick with that. And everybody's happy now. So now what we want to do is to kind of finalize things. Go to the background. And let's see, what do we want to do? Let's go with, what are we going to go with? That's a bit much. I think I'm going to lighten that up just a hair. Then the the background. Let's try that, see how that goes. So what we're going to do here is we're going to try this gradient thing on the background. Now this is just totally up to you, but make sure the background is highlighted. And just right click here somewhere. That's not too shabby. It's not the color choice I would want to go with, but for the sake of the video, you get the idea. And of course you can go this way. You can alternate the gradient as much as you want. Yeah, that border around there really does kind of stink a little bit. Oh, speaking of which, I want to also show you real quick what else you can do with that border. Let's go with something new. Let's get out of here. Show you something else real quick here. Okay. Bucket fill, background. Now we got the white. Cool. Okay, now then, go to the text. Pretty much the same text we had before. Pull this on up here. I was going to show you this earlier, but I just kind of spaced it. Now what we want to do here is let's throw in some nice gradient color here. Oh, what the heck. Let's go with green. Sounds cool. Dang it, I did it again. Only that time I did it by accident. Honest, I did. So we want to go here, alpha to selection, marching ants. And now we want to, oh yeah, new layer. Cool. Select, grow, 4 is good, and then bucket fill, black. Click on that, down here. Okay, now what I was wanting to show you was how you can kind of add a little more depth to this. Actually, that doesn't look too bad. What you want to do now is you want to select this, go up here to your move tool, and then all you're doing now is you're just moving this layer from on top of that. Just give it a little bit of an angle. And you see how that gives it a little more depth, a little more of a drop shadow. Just want to point that out to you that the other thing you can do with the grow here is give it a little more of a depth too. So that's pretty much it, folks, on how you can use the Gimp 2.4 to add a little more pizzazz to your web page graphics. Hope you learned something new. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you much for watching, and have a great day.